Yeah, that's right. Today we're taking on two NES games instead of one. I think that's going to be a recurrent theme, especially when the carts won't work, which seems to be a fairly common thing, or if a game especially sucks, so on and so forth. So in any case, the first we're looking at today is 720 degrees. The title of the game is about as ambiguous as it gets, but once you blow on the cart long enough, you get this screen, which tells you all you need to know. It's about skateboarding. Once the actual game begins, you'll find yourself in the middle of a huge skate park. One of the first things that struck me about the character you're playing as is that he looks a lot like Link from the Legend of Zelda series. Green cap, reddish yellow hair, etc. Anyway, there's no real direction provided here. With little else to do, it seems like you're supposed to wander around the park. You'll interact with people operating various booths that offer equipment upgrades, etc., though I have absolutely no idea as to how you implement the upgrades once you acquire them. Besides that, the only thing you'll really feel motivated to do is to try and jump the ramps that are scattered across the screen. Unfortunately, you'll likely crash repeatedly only to get up, dust yourself off, and then fall face first into a moat. Whether or not 720 degrees actually has a point is anyone's guess, and after only 2 or 3 minutes of zipping around the only level that seems to exist in the game, I found myself getting fatally bored. It wasn't long before I resorted to Old Faithful, otherwise known as the Game Genie. On a side note, trying to get the cumbersome duo of a Game Genie coupled with an actual NES cart into a retro duo is hell. The damn thing never wants to go in. And if you do manage to succeed in getting both the system and the awesomely absurd cheat device inserted properly, then you're faced with your second challenge, actually entering the codes. To the Genie's credit, it makes the process as easy and as transparent as possible, but the thing's incredibly temperamental, and there's always the doubt lingering in the back of your mind. After all this work, will the frickin' game even start? Here's your answer. No, it won't. So after all that frustration, I finally decided just to give up on 720 degrees. I couldn't get the thing to work with the Game Genie. I didn't really know what I was doing without the Game Genie. It was boring, it was annoying, and I just didn't like it. So let's move on to part two of today's video, and that is 8 Eyes. With all due respect to the games I've played thus far on my journey, 8 Eyes is the first one that actually feels like a normal Nintendo game. So here we go. All I have to do is move from left to right. Right? No. Apparently there's a trick to figuring out how to even start playing the game. Here I am, walking back and forth in front of this Arabian castle like an idiot, swinging my whip and carrying a bird on my shoulder. I tried everything to figure this out, pressing up in front of the door, locating a secret passageway through which I could enter the castle, etc. Apparently, there are levers you have to activate, something I figured out just when I was about to assume this was every bit as intuitive as E.T. on the Atari. Once you're inside the castle, you're attacked by the usual bad guys, bats, skeletons, and Jawas. Wait, Jawas? The little hooded guys from Star Wars? Whatever. When you kill an enemy, a little cross floats up from their corpse. Echoes of Castlevania, eh? More importantly, why are there crosses that leave their bodies after they're dead? Is the game suggesting that killing something is something done by way of religious proclamation? Is the game saying killing is good? I am, of course, reading way too much into this, but I just don't understand the significance of a cross here. Why not a heart? That's standard gaming fare, right? Anyway, this will be the last thing on your mind because you'll be getting assaulted from every possible direction. This isn't on par with the insanity found in Silver Surfer or any other impossibly hard NES game, but it is frustrating, especially when you have to figure out how to use special weapons through trial and error button mashing, which will leave you vulnerable and will likely cause you to be killed. I'd also like to know why I'm going on a rampage through this castle in the first place. How does the title, 8 Eyes, even relate to this? With any good game, you're at least given a sliver of backstory or context. Here, we've got nothing. And so we return to the Game Genie. After a quick Google search, I found two crucial codes. One that protects your character from most, of course, why not all, damage, and one that protects your bird. I'm still not sure what exactly the bird even does besides serve as fodder for enemies that you can't yet reach, but who knows? If it's on the internet, it must be important. So, after meticulously inputting said codes, I'm faced with this. The usual NES BS that finds a dumbfounded gamer staring at a bunch of hieroglyphs and a broken record. Still, I was able to access the first level, so I kept playing. After making some notable progress, and taking virtually no damage, I might add, I was starting to feel pretty good about 8 Eyes. Though it was full of its own unique annoyances, it had started to grow on me, and I was genuinely curious about what lay ahead. But then this happened. The NES gamer's worst nightmare. A frozen screen. The only outcome for this occurrence is to call it quits, to resign yourself to the fact that you will have to start over, because save points are still a thing of the future, like hoverboards and flying DeLoreans. This one is pretty easy to call. 720 degrees is awful, plain and simple. It's not that the graphics are especially bad, but it just feels aimless. If you're into skateboarding, there might have been some appeal when this was first released, but even then the question remains, how do you pull off tricks? What's the point of collecting skating gear if it's tedious to even use it? Isn't it more fun to get out there and actually skate for real? Eight Eyes is a little trickier. If I'd been given the game as a kid, I wouldn't have had a choice. I would have had to have played it. Eventually, I probably would have gotten good at it, figured out the enemy's patterns, learned the application of the special weapons, etc. Still, it is a tad relentless, and that's more than a little off-putting. Again, though, in many ways, it's quintessential NES, and there's something to be said for that. Thanks for watching. Next time we'll be looking at Abadox. Abadox. I'm not sure how you say it, but I'm going to make every effort I can to actually play it.